What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bring It to the Table podcast. Once again, I'm Jared Aja, my co-host Mike C. the Champ.
Oh, yeah.
We got my man Jason, and we got Stacks with us today.
Thanks.
And I'm excited to be here, y'all, because we got a crazy topic, man. As you know how I be doing research, and I'm all over the web, and I'm always exploring these ideas, and I came across this topic called fifth generation warfare. And
sound like some Call of Duty
man,
shit,
it is some is higher level than Call of Duty stuff. This is real modern warfare, and I wanted to take that concept that is a real concept, and I wanted to apply it to the whole manhood journey, because you know that's what we talk about over here is man shit. Yep. So we'll get into all that, but you know, first just want to chop it up real quick and talk some shit. I'm happy to be here, man. The podcasting is special for me because this is an opportunity that I take for my own personal accountability for my success. Like this is a proactive movement that I do to like have a one-up over others in this game that we're playing called life. Yeah. Right? Sure. You're a player, we're all players here, man. And it's like to the extent to which you play that game is going to be the extent of your winning. And the thing I respect about everybody here is like we're all hustlers, we all get shit done, and we all have a mission. And so on top of that, we're also fathers, family men, and that is also part of that manhood journey. So thank you guys.
Man, just to give we on here trying to give the knowledge to the people that we've learned over time, you know what I'm saying? The younger generation, if we can help them in some way, you know, guide them in the right direction with like stuff that we messed up on, our mistakes, you know what I'm saying? It's
not that I know what to do, I know what not to do because I done failed. I told this to my son. I was like, Roman, I said, bro, I have failed so many times because my son, he's 10 years old, and we keep going through these learning opportunities, you know what I'm saying? He's just like, he'll fail at something, like a task in life, you know, behavior, actions, attitudes, and we're having to go through these repetitive lessons. And I just have to tell him, man, it's like you can't get down on yourself for messing up, right? These are learning opportunities. I've had to go through so many learning opportunities in life to just get to a place where I'm not a complete fuck up.
Well, that's everything, man. You fail your way to victory. Yeah. Everything that you've ever done, you just say Mario, you know, the Nintendo. Yeah. All of us died repetitively till we figured out exactly how to go about to win.
That's great.
It's just life in general, man. Yeah. So you learn through failure, man. And there's nobody that anybody here or anybody in the United States or the world that did it perfect the first time they got through it. It's never gonna happen. And when it does happen, if you did do it perfect, it was a fluke.
Like, don't stroke your own ego. Be like, you can repeat that. You know.
I tell Stacks all the time, shit, man. If I know, I can show you. But if I can't, if I don't know, shit, we can figure that shit out together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the only way to figure something out is to do it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the only way. How do you figure it out, Mike? You got to mess up.
Yeah,
you like, I did it wrong.
Like you putting together a table or something. If you might read the instructions, you might put the leg on backwards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It has
you read the instructions, but shit, you still put it on wrong. So
yeah.
You knew it was wrong after you flipped that hoe over and seen one going this way and one going the other way. You messed up. So now you gotta flip it over and fix it.
That there is the journey.
And then when you got a bunch of tables, I guarantee you that first one's fucked up, but by the time you get to that fourth or fifth one, the shit's golden.
The table maker. Yeah. Okay, so again, you know, that is an important part of the journey into manhood, you know, from boy to man.
Yes, sir.
And another part of the psychology of going from boy to man is this one of like knowing that you are in the game of life. Yeah. So the game that we're currently playing right now, fifth generation warfare. Let me explain the first generation. First generation warfare was like hand-to-hand combat, right? Second generation warfare was like, hey, we got spears and rocks. We got some like blunt instruments to like fuck you up with. Third generation, we got tanks, rifles, bombs. You know what I'm saying? Fourth generation is nuclear power, and like some like stuff like that. Fifth generation I got to read it to y'all because it's so powerful. Give me 1 second. Fifth generation warfare. This is from Wikipedia. Fifth generation warfare is warfare that is conducted primarily through non-kinetic military action, such as social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks, along with other emerging technologies such as AI and autonomous systems. So again, go over social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks. That is everything you see on the news right now.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a cyber attack. Oh, there's economic instability. There's like these social engineering. We were just talking about that documentary on Netflix, the social engineering one.
That social experiment.
Bro, you can't say that this is not real and that they're not playing these games. And if we aren't aware that these concepts are written on paper and people are actually applying this is the game that they're playing, right? So in a non-military sense, just on the manhood level, you know, I feel like, again, politics, media, TikTok, all these things that they are running their own misinformation campaigns to us. They are doing their own social engineering projects on us as men. You can go through statistics, man. Men are more likely to overdose, to go to prison, to commit suicide. To like, it's just like, it's hard out here for men. And if you don't have a blueprint to what game you're playing, it's easy to get lost.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
Well, you know, you talk about like the art of war, man, and a lot of times with all of any type of battle, the main thing about the art of war is knowing your enemy, right?
Yeah.
And if you know your enemy in and out, you know, then you can calculate moves, right? And also is looking up how much damage that this war is gonna accumulate, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the art of war is to knowing how to dodge a punch. It's not always having a direct battle with someone, right?
Yeah.
Because that accumulates casualties, right? And we'll take Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
They can say whatever the hell that they want to say about Floyd, right? But he's a genius because guess what? The motherfucker doesn't get hit, and he doesn't take casualties.
Yeah.
He learns how to fight and then come in and whoop that ass and then dodge and move out. That is the epitome of the art of war. It's a perfect mixture of yin and yang, and understanding when to strike, when to pull back, when to see calculating what the casualties are going to be, because you don't want to have one. So if I take over a country, right? Unlike, let's say, talk about Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
I feel Putin slipped so much on this because he destroyed this place, right? You don't want to do that. You want to come in and you want to take away certain structures, right? To keep the place intact. So when you come in and take over, guess what? It's not a lot of money for me to build this thing back up, right? America is good about that. They'll come in, they'll take the people in power out, which takes out the military.
Yeah.
Because now the military doesn't know that without a leader. You know, they're not, but they don't destroy the place. Why? Because we're trying to come in here and make money in this motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when we talk about young men and men in America, we are not strategizing. We're not studying our enemies. We're not studying our objectives. We're just coming out here and we're running to the fight and we're just
getting
attacking
slaughtered.
And you're coming in here and you're rushing in too fast. And now you're getting that ass whooped and you might win, right?
Yeah.
But you took so much losses that it's not a win.
Yeah.
It's
Now you
basically-
got PTSD, you're scarred up, you got twitches and shit.
and then modern warfare, when we talk about that, is us. It's the battle of the mind, right?
Yeah.
And now people have learned, and our governments have learned that it's easier to affect a person's mind by pushing them in certain directions, by false information, or by just giving you some type of a tunnel so to keep following, right?
5G warfare.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Fucking with their mind, non-kinetic military action. This shit is real, man.
Real.
And like you said, it's all about the mind. To the extent somebody could have control over their mind is like the extent of how protected they can be.
And I always like look at Kanye.
That's good.
From where he used to be. You know, I'm an artist.
Oh, yeah,
always
I'm a
look at
Kanye
him, you know what I'm
fan.
saying? Kanye went from, okay, I'm a follow how I'm supposed to be to like, I'm not doing this shit no more. Y'all not just gonna treat me any kind of way, because now I can think for myself. Now I can say I have enough tools to go to war with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you gotta strategize. And I remember him saying, was it Tupac? He said, they say you can't go to war until you got everything in place to go to war.
Ooh, that's the art of war.
You know what I'm saying? And like ever since then, like people that like a lot of people that don't think for themselves, they really don't understand what Kanye is telling them sometimes.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's the people that be like, he's fucking just crazy, blah, 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 blah. Bro, okay, you sleep. He is crazy. But
he does have his points.
Right.
But
I'm not arguing
I
that.
feel like we go into social engineering. I feel like they socially made him look like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He might have some underlying problems, but those underlying problems for me, he didn't start showing them until his mama passed away.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with his ankle was his mother.
Yeah.
Okay, so check it. When I was Googling this stuff, I was trying to explain this whole concept to my son, right? To a 10-year-old. And it was pretty much came down to, okay, if this is the way they're fighting, misinformation, making people confused, making us so distracted that we're not focused on our mind, planning our next moves, studying our enemies, why would they do this? To make us confused, dumber, weaker. Right? So I said, Roman, why would they want to make us weaker? What's easier to control and manipulate? A strong man that thinks for himself, or a weak man that is confused and doesn't know where he is or what he's doing? It's easier to control the weak man.
Yeah. Straight up.
So if that's the case, I do not want to be a weak man. And a weak man is an uneducated, unfamiliar man with himself, with his environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is how I define a weak man.
I always looked at this like, this 5th generation warfare like a video game.
Okay.
You ever play my game, Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Because it's somebody controlling the person that's on the screen.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It has, from the controller, it sends a signal, which the social thing sends a signal.
Yep.
Many signals of the same kind in different ways. Like I promote my music, I'll do a cover, then I'll do a video, then I'll do this. It's the same thing. If they want you to do something, they'll put it on TV, then they'll make it in a movie, then they'll put it on
video games.
You know what I'm saying? It's everywhere.
It's a Fortnite skin.
So it's the same thing. You controlling, you know what I'm saying? You sending this signal to this thing on TV and it's moving how you want it to move.
Yeah.
But you know what happens when it doesn't move the way you want it to move? The game lags. It stops. It turns off. Like in the middle of the game, you can be aiming and shooting at somebody, and if that game goes the other way that you, instead of you turned, like it glitches. Everything crazy happens.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? And like I say, it's kind of like, and it's kind of like that social, that's 5th generation warfare and the social engineering. That shit is probably the strongest thing we have right now. You know what I'm saying? Not only do men not think for themselves, now you gotta watch your kid. Because now you seeing these kids with the guns and they killing each other.
My son can one shot rebuild so quickly, it's spooky. It's like he's a professional marksman.
It went from Mario Brothers
to
Call of Duty, Fortnite.
Sniping
Every
people.
game now that they play, if it's in the sports game, it's shooting
violent
somebody,
as all could be. Yeah. Okay, so to move this forward, it's like, why? Okay, we understand that. Let's say this is the game that people are playing, society, all these things, right? But then, why is it important to know this information? Why is it important to acknowledge this concept and to maybe take heed to use this information to better direct our lives? I mean, one, because I personally have had to just go through things in life that were unpleasant. And I mean, I give credit too, because I'm very stubborn, and it's like I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I mean, people told me my whole life, you know what I'm saying? And then I just had to learn things for myself. And I take that as real, right? But man, it is my attempt to like try to help my son avoid some stupid decisions. Not necessarily like don't do this or don't do that, but more of like decisions with your mental attitude. Who you think you are, who you want to be in life. Not for a second ever doubting
And
yourself, you know?
I feel like the kids don't even get a chance to find out who they are. With everything that's going on, they're being told, you need to be this. You can't be Jared Ager when you 10. You need to be like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And if you're not like Mike Tyson, then you're nobody. If you're not Bill, this person that's famous, or you're not anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like all the women now, you know, we growing up, like I said this before, growing up, women were in shape, bro. Like, I'm not saying women are out of shape now because it's pretty.
Well, no, the whole big movement has like, definitely been more popular.
It's weird. Like, my whole family, we are big people, you know what I'm saying? But now, when I was younger, I wanted to be healthy.
Yeah,
now they saying you could just fucking eat 20 hamburgers and that's sexy.
So that's what I'm saying, though, the weakening of the mind of the man. It's like, no. See, like I told my son, never allow anyone to tell you as a man that it's okay to be weak. You don't have to do push-ups. You don't have to do this. You don't have to have discipline. You don't have to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to be weak. Be in your feelings. Just be soft. It's okay. Fuck that. Fuck you. I don't accept that. We have to reject that shit.
And I say for young men too, and I think that's for men and women, like when you hit a certain age is when you kind of go on that journey of who am I, right? Because to be truthful, all of us, none of us got to choose that. It was based on what our parents
environment,
taught us, what
absolutely.
environment, what school you went to, what community you went to. Where you live plays a big role on your development as a person, period. So
once you hit a certain age,
you start going on this journey. For me, it was probably around 27. Okay. I was like, I want to improve myself. I want to be a better person, right? I want to be that, right? And so through that journey is when I start figuring out who I want to. But the truth of the matter, a lot of our men, our manly men that we used to have back in the day looked up to. There's not a lot of those guys out there now like that.
So true.
Especially in our families like this. It's not. You know, you don't have that cornerstone male that says this was my model or my role model to be. It was somebody that we were looking on TV or as a ball player. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of us was a hip hop artist. You know, so a lot of that shit's already miscued because you're looking at something that's really not obtainable, right? And to be truthful about it, for a lot of those positions, it's not obtainable, right? So a lot of times when we're talking about influence, right? I'm talking about like my journey when started me to change myself was finding out about covert persuasion, right? And seeing it and knowing what it was. And
what is it?
Covert persuasion.
Covert persuasion.
And covert persuasion is basically when someone gives you a push, or we're talking about being influenced by social media, by television, by all these other entities.
Yeah.
And what covert persuasion is someone giving you information. And normally you would say no. It's convincing you to say yes through a series of them talking to repetitive of a subject, and it's in your head, it's in your face all the time. It affects you, right? We all know that it does.
Yeah.
Right? But we're talking about battling it for yourself and for your child. Only how you can do that is knowing what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
You know, if you have no realization that there's a problem, you're going to go through emotions and be within that lane, right?
Yeah.
But once you have an awakening of, and I'm not talking about the so-called movement of being woke. I'm talking about awakening in yourself that I can think for my fucking self, right? Like, until you know what that is, then you don't know, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use the analogy, and I was talking to Jared about when Tupac died, right? Because my circle of friends in my school all said that this dude was still alive, right?
I heard that last week. He is still alive.
Still
what do you
alive,
mean?
Right? He's still alive, right? And no matter how many people say that, he died, right? In my circle of friends, in my circle of my community, we don't know. But
let's assume.
I'm getting somewhere with it, right? It's the fact that everyone that I was talking to was saying that he was alive. So in my head, I believed it. I believed it like it was. I believed it like it was the word of God. Tupac was somewhere in Cuba chilling, smoking a blunt. That's what happened. When the reality, and the cop that was there or the people that were there who actually saw him die would say, "Man, the dude is dead." It's just an analogy, right? It's the same thing. Wherever you are, whatever information that you're being fed on a normal basis affects you. It affects you as a man.
Yeah.
And let's talk about just black men, period. From our ancestors who were strong men, right? How much society has dummied us down to being a certain role, period. And when we don't see ourselves as being a Bill Gates, so we don't see ourselves as being president. We don't see ourselves as being these strong men who go and obtain objectives and build businesses and build wealth and build those certain things. We have to, and I've heard this saying before, we have to be the change we want to see.
Yeah.
And first it starts off with us recognizing when we hear bullshit. And it's understanding when you hear it, or understanding when someone's trying to lead you into a decision. And Jared is right.
You listening?
Jared is right. When you understand, when you having people, you have to think for yourself. You got to be able to ask a question. And there's nothing wrong with asking a fucking question. Like, where did you get that information? Do you have truth to back that shit up, right? So you just don't follow. And we'll take, for example, back in the day when there was a reason why we separated church and state, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you play on someone's belief system, they will do anything. They will kill you. Most wars back in the day weren't over economic wealth, right? It was over, God said this, no, we believe God said this, all right, now I'm gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. Over just a belief system. So understanding that play has been playing in our lives forever. Our government still does it. Our politicians do it all the time. They'll take a small little bit of what you believe and they'll mix it with something else. And now you're in this big group of people who don't give a fuck about nobody except what they think.
Yeah.
And we do it on both sides. Right?
Oh, it's everything.
We don't listen to any.
They call it like echo chambers, you know what I'm saying? It's like just, it compounds. Okay, so check it. To add on what you were saying, you know, the Man's Guide to Modern Warfare, which is the title of the video, you know, what is the guide? Well, pretty much it's like a framework that I made. And it's just the simple thing, and it's what I truly believe. It's, I am an intelligent person who is open to learning and asking questions in order to understand things better. This helps me make thoughtful choices that increase my chances of achieving success. Right? So like that's what essentially the mindset that every man needs to have is like, I'm an intelligent person, number one. If you don't have number one, that you're an intelligence, so you can be a Bill Gates, you could be whoever the fuck you want, you know what I'm saying? Then like perception is reality, you know, whatever you believe yourself to be, that's what you will be.
You know why I think it's hard for young kids to say, hey, I can be Bill Gates or I can be Jeff Bezos? When the last time you seen them people? Do you see them on social media? The only one I see ever is that Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You don't see the dude that was with Floyd Mayweather, Warren Buffett. You don't see those people, bro.
True.
So it's back to perception, it's reality for them. They don't even know those guys, so they don't know those guys are billionaires.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre became a billionaire and disappeared.
I got a question. Who was one of these role models for you, Jason?
I'm gonna tell you the person who affected my life. There was a couple of men that affected my life, but the first one definitely was my grandfather. He was an old school military man. Like, he didn't take shit from nobody, bro. Yeah. Like, he was old school, yes sir, no ma'am. Like, you either talked about it. He spoke Spanish, he spoke Italian. He was just he was and what tripped me out about it, he was so smart, but because of the era that he grew up, he could only go so high, right? And he had a family. Don't get me wrong, he had his faults, but he was just, to me in my head, he was a man's man. Yeah. Like, he was a boxer in the military. He would whoop that ass. And I seen my grandfather one time. There was this dude arguing with this woman, and he told her, he stopped and was like, you know, I'm gonna tell you one time, like, leave her alone. and the dude kept going. My grandfather got out that car, and the dude, just showed him what a real man was, right? And that was a good. My grandfather was probably the most. Most of the guys in my family were real hard working.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was that guy. I got pictures of him being ripped up in the in the military, and every time that, even today, like when I kind of like start looking at myself, I kind of model myself after that.
Yeah.
But there was this one guy that I heard through in high school, and this brother was all about. It was just this. It was Black History Month. So I had this country. I went to school at Fairfield, Texas, but he had this country dude. He used to just during Black History Month, he just put on videos, and then he'd go sit his ass in the corner. Yeah. But there was this one guy that he put on, man, and I'm trying to remember his name.
Earl Nightingale?
No. It wasn't Earl Nightingale. I'm forgetting his name. But the story though was this guy. He was trying to be a disc jockey. So he walks in, and the guy at the place tell him, "Hey man, we don't have no work." And so he keeps going back and forth. He never took no for an answer. And his whole life, everybody told him he was either dyslexic or mentally retarded and whatnot.
Les Brown.
Les Brown.
Les Brown is the man.
Yeah, he is.
No, tell the story, because
Right.
it's a fucking amazing.
So Les Brown changed my life.
Absolutely.
I've seen it a few times. I'm sorry that I forgot his name.
Damn. I'm sorry,
Les Brown.
Les.
So this whole thing about Les, he kept going back. Why the owner of the owner of the radio station kept telling him no, and he was like, he'd come back and he said, "I told you I didn't have no work." He goes, "Man, I thought somebody might have died. You might have fired somebody."
That's right.
And finally, I think it was like the 5th, 6th time he went in there. And the dude, he shows up and he goes, "Let's go get me some coffee." He goes, "I got you." So it started his whole career off of that. He did it again. They wanted somebody didn't show up for work, or I think one of the disc
DJ
jockeys
didn't show up for work.
Well, no, he showed up. He was drunk.
Oh, that's right.
And so they sent his ass home, and his boss told Les to call all the other DJs. And Les would literally sit there, hang up the phone, and say, "All right, boss, I'm gonna call him." He hangs up the phone. He calls nobody. He calls his boss back and says, "Hey, man, I couldn't get nobody." He said, "Well, can you play the records?" "Yeah, I can play the records." And so he goes, "All right, just play it, don't say nothing." Les gets on there and drops the dopest intro
Mix.
to a mix that he was about to do and kills it, right? That changed my life, because every place I went from then on, I never took no for an answer. I did the same thing. I would go to these cities and I'd move somewhere and nobody would give me a job. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna show up every day till you give me a job. And I did it all the time, and I always got a job. By the time I walked in there the 5th time, they'd just be like, "Come on in here, man, just sign these papers." I said, "Oh, so you are hiring." Right. My whole life has been off of that one thing. And I think a lot of men are missing us seeing other men tell their story and be examples. Because a lot of times
it's not easy peasy, man.
Because you don't have it. It's not accessible. Even though we have the internet, they don't know. All they doing is playing video games.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not taking the time out to have this grown-ass man give you the keys to the streets. To give
and you
the
put
keys
your
to the
own
kingdom.
version together out of all that info.
I think, you know what I'm saying, not saying how old he is, but, we came from a different era. Like when us growing up, we had to get on a bike and go to our homie's house.
Yeah.
Go search for what you needed.
Like we got to see different men, my homie's dad, they uncles, you know what I'm saying, our uncles, our grandfathers.
True that.
You know what I'm saying? Like now, nobody goes anywhere anymore unless they going outside. Like going outside, going outside to get into some shit.
Catch me outside.
Ain't nobody trying to go outside and learn nothing, man.
First of all, it's hot right now in Texas, so ain't nobody going outside.
It's hot as shit. Right?
Hey, real quick, because we know we're getting closer to the end of the conversation, but to just give you credit, man, I remember a long time ago, almost 10 years ago maybe, you were at ESPN. You just started, and you got me a little gig, at the X Games down at the Circuit of the Americas. And I remember we were working, and you were pretty much repeating that same spiel. man, I'm just gonna show up every day. I'm gonna bring this motherfucker a bottle. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure they got cold Gatorade. You know what I'm saying? You were talking that talk, and I was just look. That's right, Jason. You know what I'm saying? But no, like not in like, haha, I'm laughing at you or just watching you.
Yep.
I believed in the same thing, and I had applied those same principles in my life, and I was able to recognize that. And we have always vibed on that energy.
Yep.
If anything else, no other commonalities. We have that shit, and I fucking love that. You know, so kudos to you because now you're way up at top, man, living the big dog life.
I saw you with one camera shooting videos.
I didn't even own a camera. It was probably someone else's camera. I probably borrowed Mike's camera. I borrowed Dashe Moonbeam's camera so many times.
No, I mean, like, you were shooting a video.
Oh, for him.
Yeah, shit, I was like one of the first ones you shot videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember Kid.
I've known him. I've known you guys about the same time. I mean, we're talking 2005 and 6 type shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I probably ran into him at your
you don't know him because he went by a different alter ego back then. You know, we don't bring up the past. But yeah, no, it's incredible. As I've gotten older, the most incredible thing I can be a witness to in life is the journey. Mm-hmm. And if you start small and have ownership of your mind and say, I'm going to do more, do better, I'm not going to accept weakness on any level, and I'm going to be of value to people and of value to my community, of value to my friendships, I only believe that things will start to compound. And people will recognize that within me, and they will want me to be around because they can trust me. And if you practice that enough, you end up just becoming that dude.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about all of us. We have put in the work and the repetitive actions to just be that dude.
Yeah.
When anyone at ESPN needs some shit, they call in Jason. When any doctor needs videos, they're calling video for doctors. When anybody needs a hook or a fucking recording, they call him Mike C, the champ, the master hook writer. Like, this is no joke. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that is real. And it doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah, no.
You got to put in some fucking work to, like, fail at something so many times that you're not impressed by anybody anywhere that does what you do, because you know and you've been there and you've gone through it and you've gained a maturity out of that, and it just is what it is.
You know, a good way to kind of train your mind is set, you know, we talk about this all the time, small goals.
Yeah.
Like, our goddamn podcast went from a big ass table, then we had these little tables
with little chairs. Yeah, I watched an old episode where we had these little ass, they're like strip club chairs, but they were like baby I don't know what the fuck. It was a Walmart purchase, and we were big dudes in these little chairs with no arms. It was so funny looking.
And like you know what I'm saying, over time that shit, like, we knew what we wanted. Like, we said we was gonna paint this, we was gonna do this, we gonna do that, and we slowly did those things. And I think in order to help get your mind prepared for your career or in anything in life, is you have to make small goals. Because if you get small goals, you know what I'm saying, those small goals will allow you to reach bigger goals. And once you get them bigger goals, you feel like ain't nothing impossible for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mike, hit us with that.
Masculinity is not something given to you, but something you gain. And you gain it by winning small battles with honor.